Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going to be looking at something kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's this idea of turning pain into power.
Ooh, I like that.
And we've got this podcast transcript
Okay.
that we're going to be kind of dissecting today.
Cool.
And the really interesting thing about it is that they use J.K. Rowling's story with Harry Potter
Oh, wow.
as like a case study.
Okay.
And I think we all know the sort of like rags to riches element of that story.
Yeah, definitely.
She was rejected over and over again, and then she ultimately found success.
Right.
But this source, it kind of digs a little deeper.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, it talks about the types of rejections she received.
Oh, interesting.
Like some publishers said that the book was just too long for children.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, they were wrong.
yeah. Talk about missing the mark.
Totally. But can you imagine if she had listened to those critiques?
What?
Like, if she had shortened the story or, gotten rid of the whole wizarding world thing?
Oh my gosh, we wouldn't have Harry Potter.
Exactly.
It blows my mind.
It's wild.
So it's not just about like facing pain, it's about like how you respond to the pain.
100%. And this source really emphasizes that the first step is just to acknowledge your feelings.
Okay.
Which might sound obvious,
Sound weird.
but think about how often we just try to push down those negative emotions.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Like they're not even there.
I am so guilty of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But this source is saying that ignoring that pain, it doesn't just make it go away.
No, it doesn't.
Like it just bottles it up.
Right. Yeah, it festers.
It festers, exactly.
But we have to like acknowledge it.
Yes, acknowledge it, let yourself feel it.
Yeah.
That's the first step towards healing and growth.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like acknowledging pain, it's not exactly fun.
No, it's not.
So how do we make sure that it doesn't just turn into wallowing?
That is a great question. And that's where the second key takeaway comes in. Reflection.
Okay.
So it's not just about dwelling on the negative emotions.
Right.
It's about asking yourself, like, okay, this was tough, but what can I learn from it?
So looking for the lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The takeaway, the nugget of wisdom
Okay, I like this.
hidden in the pain,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So for J.K. Rowling, maybe those rejections helped her refine her pitch,
Oh, that's interesting.
or even just better understand her audience.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it just made her believe in her story even more.
Interesting. So we acknowledge the pain, we reflect on it, and what it taught us.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
This is where it gets really interesting,
Okay.
goal setting.
Okay.
So the source suggests that once we have processed and reflected on those difficult experiences,
Go.
they can actually become fuel for setting new objectives.
So instead of letting pain hold us back, we can actually use it to like propel ourselves forward.
Exactly. It's like saying, okay, I went through that, I learned from it, and now I'm going to use that knowledge to achieve something even greater.
I love that. It's almost like pain can give us this sense of clarity and determination.
And you know what? That ties in beautifully with one of the key vocabulary words that this source highlights,
Right.
empowerment.
Empowerment. Okay.
So it's about gaining strength and confidence from overcoming those challenges.
I like that a lot.
Have you ever had an experience where, like, facing a fear actually made you feel more powerful?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I used to be terrified of public speaking,
Oh, yeah.
like avoid it at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had this big project in college and I had to give a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so nervous. I was so scared, but I did it.
Good for you.
And afterwards, I just felt this rush of accomplishment. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, I did that. I faced my fear
Yes.
and I'm okay.
You came out stronger on the other side?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of empowerment in action.
Cool.
You didn't let fear control you. You confronted it.
Yeah.
And that act of overcoming it fueled your confidence?
That's a good way to put it. So we've acknowledged the pain. We've reflected on it.
Yeah.
We've used it to set goals,
Right.
and we've even felt this sense of empowerment. But is there a danger of becoming too focused on the struggle?
That's such an important question.
Like, how do we avoid letting pain become our defining narrative?
Right. And that leads us to another key vocabulary word, resilience.
Resilience. Okay.
So it's about bouncing back from those difficulties, not letting them break you.
So it's about acknowledging the pain without letting it define us.
Exactly. Resilience is about recognizing that setbacks are a part of life,
Right.
but they don't have to control our destiny.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
But there's one piece I'm still struggling with,
Okay.
the language learning aspect.
Okay.
How does turning pain into power connect to learning English?
Well, what's brilliant about this source is that it weaves that personal growth journey
Okay.
with language learning.
Mm-hmm.
It argues that using new vocabulary and sentence structures to describe your experiences, especially the difficult ones, can actually deepen your understanding of the language,
Oh, wow.
and it can help you process those emotions in a more powerful way.
So it's like we're taking these abstract concepts like empowerment and resilience,
Yes.
and we're making them concrete by using them in real-life situations.
Exactly. And by talking about our experiences in English,
Uh-huh.
we're not just improving our language skills.
Right.
We're gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves and our ability to overcome challenges.
That's amazing. So we've talked about acknowledging pain, reflecting on it, setting goals,
right.
embracing empowerment and resilience,
Yes.
all while using English as a tool for self-discovery and growth.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
It is. And there's one more powerful word from this source that I think captures this whole process. Transform.
Transform.
It's about changing form or appearance.
Okay.
Taking something negative and turning it into something positive.
And this is where things start to get really practical, right?
Yes.
Because we all have pain points. We've got challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But this source is saying that we can actually transform those challenges into something that empowers us.
Exactly. And you know what? This source doesn't just leave us hanging with these big concepts.
Okay.
They actually give us some concrete tips on how to actually put this into practice.
Okay, so how do we actually do this whole turning pain into power thing?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that's a great place to pick up after a short break.
Sounds good.
All right.
We'll be right back. All right, so before the break, we were getting into the good stuff.
Yes.
And we've talked about all these powerful concepts.
Right.
But how do we actually take this idea of turning pain into power and
Yeah.
actually use it in our lives?
Well, the source gives us 3 practical tips,
Okay.
and they're all about taking action.
Mm.
Because it's one thing to understand these concepts intellectually,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually put them into practice.
Totally. Okay, so hit me with the tips.
Okay, the first tip is all about finding support. And it's not just about having people who will pat you on the back and say, "They're there."
Right. It's got to be deeper than that.
Exactly. It's about surrounding yourself with people who genuinely believe in you,
Mm.
people who challenge you to grow,
Right.
and who will be there for you no matter what.
And I think there are different types of support, too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like having a friend who will just listen and empathize is amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need someone who can give you more practical advice
Right.
or even professional guidance.
Absolutely. And this source emphasizes that support can come from different sources.
Yeah.
It could be family or friends, a mentor, a therapist,
Huh?
or even an online community of people who are going through similar things.
I think it's important to remember, too, that asking for support is not a sign of weakness.
Oh, I completely agree.
It actually takes a lot of strength and self-awareness to realize when you need help and to ask for it.
100%. It's a sign of resilience, like you're
Right.
taking ownership of your well-being.
I like that. Now, what about the second tip?
The second tip focuses on expression,
Okay.
which I think is especially relevant to language learning.
Okay.
The source encourages us to find healthy outlets for processing those difficult emotions.
So not just bottling things up.
Definitely not. It could be writing art music, talking to someone you trust.
Right.
The key is to find what feels authentic and helpful for you.
I love that this tip emphasizes that expression isn't always about creating something perfect
Yeah.
or even something you want to share with others.
Right. Sometimes it's just about getting those feelings out.
Yeah.
Just releasing them in a safe way.
And I think about how that ties into language learning.
Totally.
You know, using English to journal about your experiences or to write a poem
Yeah.
about a challenge that you've overcome,
Uh-huh.
or even just having a conversation with a language partner about your feelings.
Yeah.
It all contributes to a deeper understanding of both the language and yourself.
I love that. It's like
Yeah.
we're taking these abstract concepts, empowerment, resilience, transformation,
Right.
and we're giving them a tangible form
Uh-huh.
through language.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about that third tip?
The third and final tip is taking action.
Okay.
Now, this can feel kind of daunting, especially when we're dealing with pain or setbacks.
Yeah, it's easy to feel paralyzed or overwhelmed.
Right. So the source suggests breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
So instead of focusing on the top of the mountain, Just focus on the next step right in front of you.
I love that analogy. It's about shifting our perspective and focusing on what we can control.
Exactly. And it's about celebrating those small wins along the way.
Yes.
Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory.
Yeah.
And those small victories build momentum and keep us moving in the right direction.
And I think that sense of accomplishment, even from those tiny steps, can really fuel our motivation
Yes.
and make it easier to tackle the next challenge.
It's a positive feedback loop.
I like it. But it's important to remember this isn't always going to be easy.
Of course not. This source isn't pretending that everything's sunshine and rainbows. It acknowledges that there will be setbacks and moments of doubt and times when you just want to give up.
That's real.
Right. And it's in those moments that we need to tap into that resilience.
Yeah.
It's about remembering that setbacks are not failures.
Right.
They're opportunities to learn and to adapt, to come back even stronger.
So we've got these 3 tips. Find support,
Right.
express yourself, and take action.
Yes.
These seem pretty straightforward, but I can see how they have a lot of depth.
They do. And what's great is that they can apply to any challenge we're facing,
Right.
whether it's personal, professional, or even related to language learning.
That's the cool part. It's not just about turning pain into power in one area of life.
Right.
It's about using this framework to navigate challenges and grow in all areas.
Exactly. It's about approaching life with curiosity and resilience,
Yeah.
and a willingness to transform our experiences into something that empowers us.
I'm really starting to see how this all connects. You know, it's not about erasing the pain
Right.
or pretending it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that even the most difficult experiences can teach us something valuable,
Absolutely.
and they can ultimately help us grow and change.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive so far.
I agree.
And I love how this source connects personal growth and language learning.
Me too.
It's like we're getting a double dose of inspiration and practical advice.
It's a win-win. And as we head into the final part of our exploration,
Yeah.
I want to circle back to that idea of transform. It's such a powerful concept, and I'd love to hear how you're seeing it show up in your own life.
Welcome back to the show. You know, as we've been discussing this concept of turning pain into power
Yeah.
and really unpacking this transcript,
Uh-huh.
it's striking me that we often talk about resilience as if it's like
Yeah.
a superhuman trait.
Right.
But this source makes it feel much more attainable.
I think what I appreciate about this source is that it really emphasizes the process of resilience. You know, it's not about being immune to pain or
Yeah.
setbacks. It's about developing the tools and the mindset to navigate those challenges
Right.
and come out stronger on the other side.
It's almost like resilience is a muscle that we can strengthen over time.
Exactly. And that practice involves everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Acknowledging your feelings, reflecting on your experiences, seeking support,
Ah.
finding healthy ways to express yourself, and taking action.
And this is where I think that idea of transformation really comes in.
Yes.
It's not just about coping or surviving.
Right.
It's about using those difficult experiences as fuel for growth
Absolutely.
and positive change.
You know, one of the most powerful quotes from this source is,
Okay.
every challenge is an opportunity for growth. It's
Yeah.
so simple, but it really changes our perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, we can start to see them as stepping stones
Yeah.
on our path to becoming the best versions of ourselves.
I love that. And it makes me think about how much we try to avoid pain
Oh, yeah.
or discomfort.
Run from it.
But this source suggests that leaning into those challenges
Yes.
instead of away from them is where the real growth happens.
100%. It's about embracing the full experience,
Yeah.
the highs and the lows,
The good, the bad.
and recognizing that even in the darkest moments, there's always potential for learning.
And transformation.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message,
Yeah.
especially for language learning.
Because learning a new language can be tough.
Oh, it can be so frustrating.
You can feel self-doubt.
Mhm.
You can feel totally overwhelmed.
Absolutely. But if we approach language learning with that same mindset
Okay.
of resilience and determination,
Yeah.
then we're much more likely to stick with it
To persevere.
and achieve fluency.
So it's about recognizing that those moments of struggle,
Yeah.
the mistakes, the setbacks,
Yeah.
they're not failures. They're just opportunities to learn and grow.
I love that. And it's about celebrating those little wins along the way.
The small victories.
Every new word, every grammar rule, every conversation.
This whole concept of transform is really hitting home for me.
Good.
It's so empowering to realize that we have the ability to shape our experiences,
Yes.
even the bad ones, into something that strengthens us.
I think that's the beauty of the Source.
Mm.
It doesn't just give us abstract concepts.
Right.
It gives us tools and a framework to put those concepts into action.
It's given me a lot to think about
Me too.
in terms of my own challenges and goals. And I think our listeners are feeling the same.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
How can you apply the concept of transform to a challenge you're facing right now?
Ooh, that's good.
What would you like to transform it into?
That's such a great question. And I think it really gets at the heart of what we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing the pain.
Right.
It's about recognizing that even the most difficult experiences can teach us something.
And can lead to growth and change.
Exactly. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring this idea of turning pain into power.
Yeah.
And the ways that it can be connected to language learning.
Absolutely.
Remember, every challenge is an opportunity for growth.
That's right.
And every step you take towards healing and transformation is a victory.
Couldn't agree more.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep turning your pain into power.
Yes. Until next time.